Do you have one of these things and you're sort of wondering which pen can actually write on these flags? Or perhaps you have one of these little flags from cloth and paper and you're sort of running into the same problem of which pen actually works from the pen inspiration box from cloth and paper. Well, in today's video, we're going to go through the full collection that I have from cloth and paper and test out which one works on these flags and which one is sort of a flop or just simply not right for these flags. So if you wanted to see what works and what doesn't work, then just stay tuned and let's get right into this. Okay, you guys, hey, what's happening? This is Meshi with Meshi TV. If this is the first time that we're meeting, I'm so glad that you are here and that you have met me here. So we have quite a few things that are happening here from cloth and paper, and some people have asked which pen actually is very effective on both the circle page flags as well as these flags. So this one we're going to be discussing in this video today. I thought that would be kind of interesting. I went through my own collection here the other day and I thought that, you know what, most of you actually need to see this. So if this is our first time meeting, then consider subscribing because we do chat here every single week. Anything and everything minimalist planning. I give you all of the tips that I have learned along the way of how I set up my own planner. So if that sounds good, consider subscribing. Okay, so first I thought that we would kind of start actually with the circle flags just because they have a little bit more surface area. I will be putting on some music for you guys only because I didn't want it to be too redundant. And honestly, I will just pop on the screen here as we test out the pens. I will try to write down as much as I can about them. Some of them do have like a markings of what type of pen they are. Some of them really don't have too much writing. So I'm going to just, if I can find a link for you, you will also be able to find it in the description. So let's start. Now, with these guys, just so you know, like these are all paper, so I'm not really going to do anything with this, but definitely you will find that the material that they were using for both the small transparent flags as well as the circular page flags are exactly the same. So if, you know, we find a pen that works for one, it will absolutely work for the other. The latest. So let's get started. First off, and my surface is actually relatively soft, so just keep that in perspective. First up, we have the Macaron 0.5 millimeter, super soft. Onto Sean's, also a 0.5 millimeter thickness. They both write beautifully. Onto New Sign, also 0.5 millimeter thickness. Next up we have the Beat. You can't really tell, but they write really similarly to the first two. Onto Uniball from Mitsubishi, also one fantastic one to use. It's not as strong, but still you can kind of get the gist of it. Next up we have some of these Japanese pens. I do have two different colors. They write both almost exactly the same way and the quality is fantastic as long as you let it dry. Here's the swatch with basically it actually matches the color of it. Onto this vintage ink Japanese pen. Personally, I love it. As you can tell, it writes really great as long as you let the ink kind of settle a little bit. This next one was actually an erasable pen that came a couple months ago. Writes fantastically well as long as it's under a soft surface. Personally, I like it. It's a little bit softer and it's actually a softer gray rather than a black. Onto this ultra thin Campus 0.4, super thin, very beautiful teal green ink. I believe it's like an ink pen. I personally love it. The ink actually runs a little bit more than I would like personally, so you just have to be kind of careful with it. Onto these guys, I actually have quite a few of these. These are the Durable 0.5 millimeter pens. Again, it worked. I actually kind of struggled making this work, so it was not very strong and it was kind of patchy. Oh, this guy. So I had high hopes for this only because I thought that it has such a beautiful thin tip. It doesn't even really have a name, to be honest, but now onto this German pen that's called Schneider. It was okay. I feel like this was also just a bit patchy. I'm going to see if there is a swatch for you guys to see. But for the most part, the majority of these pens that I'm showing you, there's only like a small percentage that actually didn't really work out. One thing that you will notice on all of these things that I have written on is that for most of them, like it does leave a dent. Onto this Keiko green durable 0.5. Oh, I had such high hopes for this guy. I believe this one, these all still work. However, you will see in the swatch in a moment, it's okay, a little bit runny, a little bit runnier than I would like. So you just kind of have to be careful with it, or just simply write a little bit slower. Next up is this Deli fine point pen. I could not find like the thickness of it, but it kind of writes almost like a ballpoint pen, even though it's not a ballpoint pen. So take it or leave it. Okay, onto this Marble Starry Night. It's almost like a gel pen, not really a gel pen. Like I was struggling with this. I had actually really high hopes for this one too. I thought that this would be super easy. It's pretty patchy. It doesn't write consistently. It's like, as you can kind of tell, it's just it's not the greatest. Okay, this next one, this white one, is also from Deli. It's a 0.5 millimeter, super pointy edge, so it writes horrible. It's a no, guys. That one is a no. I believe the next one I'm choosing is the purple one. So now we're on to trying it out on the flags just to kind of see. But again, you need to like remove it and then put it onto like a flat, soft surface before you kind of try this. This one is for Kosh, I don't know. It has a weird name. It's a 0.6 millimeter. It writes purple. As you can tell, the ink runs beautifully. Onto this green guy, or I guess is it like sort of like a mustard color? This one is also from Beat. I believe this is also a 0.5 millimeter thickness. So far is going good. And then the last one is from Deli. You're going to see me try to just write it right on the packaging, and then you'll know exactly what I mean. On soft surface, we're doing great. I just, as I'm recording this, I also try to just use it again to see how it goes. It's still horrible if you try to do this over the packaging. Okay, here we are. So I wanted to like completely zoom you guys in now that I kind of finished writing on all of these little flags, and I also gave it a little bit of time so that it actually dries. Here are the ones that are not, so as you can tell, these worked, but they didn't work well. So they worked, but they were just not the greatest of all time. So in no particular order, I think that this was actually the last one that I was using. But this is the Deli 0.5. This one was the Deli, okay, this is also Deli 0.5, but keep in mind that the tips are going to be different. So it's the same brand, which kind of makes sense as to why I had a hard time with it. And I would have thought that this would have worked out just great, but I feel like that was actually this one where it was sort of running. This is also Deli. This is also a 0.5 millimeter, same idea. Looks like the Deli pens, they don't really work out. This worked okay, not my absolute favorite. These are the Schneider. The Marble, I actually wrote Marble, it says Marble Dreams right here. And as you can tell, it's not, again, it works okay, but if you have a better option, then go with that. Same thing with this one. This is the Beat GP9110, also 0.5. Then we have the Durable 0.5 millimeter. And last but not least, this is all Asian. So, but this is what she looks like. This was, I believe, in our last, in the last box. So one more thing that I wanted to mention that I think is very important, and I'll show you guys here. I'll just pick a random pen from the pile. So I know that these guys, I have a couple of different colors. So they sent out different colors in the past. But one thing that I wanted to show you is, let me just move these over. Okay, look how patchy this looks. And this is a pen that actually worked out great. This was the worked pile, the one that actually worked out. Now I want you to look at the exact same flag, and I'm gonna write the exact same thing. So my point is that sometimes it's not so much the pen, but rather the surface that you're writing on. So the surface that I'm writing on, it's a very soft surface. So perhaps instead of trying to take the flag, or I've seen sometimes people write on the flags like right here, right from the packaging, and then it doesn't work out, or even try to write on it right here when it's still attached. And I think you're actually better off to take it off and put it in your planner wherever you want it, or put it on your table if you have a soft surface, and then write on it. Because with these flags and with the flag, like with both the circular flags as well as these little page flags, the same idea applies, that you need the ink to run a little bit smoother and you need to add pressure. And I wanted to show you an example of any of the ones that were sort of working out for me. See here, like let me start shining it so you can kind of see. Hopefully through the camera it kind of picks up, but you will see the indentation of the actual pen, and that's because I was able to add some pressure. The other thing to note is that you want to give this a little bit of time to actually dry. Like if I start touching this, it's going to smear. Well, these ones are like somewhat dry, but like if you're seeing it that it's kind of shiny, you want to kind of give it a little bit of time. Like this one, you can tell, for one, these didn't really work out anyway, but I can tell just by moving the flag around that the ink is still pretty wet on there. So all of these things aside, generally you want to look for a pen that has a fine point tip, and you can kind of maneuver the ink around so that like it can kind of start running a little bit, and then you can write whatever you want on it. Alternatively, what you can also do is you can use your label maker. That's an excellent option as well. So you do have a few options. Personally, I don't actually write anything on there, to be honest. I usually just end up highlighting different sections and I write underneath it, and it looks really pretty. But I know that a lot of you actually want to write something right on your flags and on the circular flags, and it's been such an issue just based on the material that they have used. So this is all I wanted to share with you guys. Let me know in the comments if you have these flags and what pen has worked for you. I would love to hear from you guys. And if you have enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and you can also subscribe so that you get more information, more planner tips. And of course, if you wanted to dive deeper into any of the spiritual practices, then this is going to be the place for you. That's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I cannot wait to see you in my next one. Bye.